Hey guys, welcome to another week of Duck Chatter. This week we're going to do, for the first time, we're going to go live on Facebook. And, you know, we're not pros at this, so if we mess up, kind of bear like this, bear with us. We're going to try to get to everybody's questions, and we'll go from there. So if you got any questions, just kind of punch them in, and we'll get to them as they come in. One of the things that people ask me all the time is, how do you think this duck season is going to do? Well, so far it's looking pretty good. We've got decent water. The weather's been fairly cool. And the forecast is for a fair to good amount of ducks. Now, one thing that's going to help us is, because of the COVID virus, nobody was able to go from the United States to Canada to hunt. So we're going to get some ducks that weren't quite as seasoned as we did before. So anyhow, have you got any questions yet, Jonathan? We need some questions, because you don't want to just sit here and listen to me. A couple of things, you know, make sure you get everything ready. You know, we've talked about it before. Get your boat, get it fixed up, get everything that you need in there, get your life jackets, get your licenses, get everything that you need so that you don't mess up. I think Jonathan got a question here.
Jordan Ward asks, what all has changed on the Ace in the Hole from the original to the now 2.0?
Okay. And it was Jordan?
Jordan Ward.
Ward? Mm-hmm. Jordan Ward asked, what has changed from the original Ace in the Hole to the new Ace in the Hole 2.0. And what we've done is, the original one, it took an air compressor to blow it. I mean, it was really hard to blow. Some people liked it, but, you know, I just feel like making that change, and I'm going to tell you what the change was, that it was easier for more people to blow. And what we did was, we went to a little shorter hole, the length of the hole. We changed the ream, and we changed the reed. We put a little wider reed in it, and anyhow, it gave the call a little bit more hold, and it also uses a lot less air. As a matter of fact, I've never blown an Ace in the Hole when I was hunting, or a cut down of any kind. But this one is really a pretty good call, and I've blown it over here on, you know, some before we sent them out, and I may try one this year. They're really a good call. Any more questions?
That's it for right now.
All right, so that's all we've got for now. If we get some more questions, then I'll try to give you some more answers. Getting back to the other thing, you know, make sure you got your state and your federal duck stamp. Make sure you got your duck stamp signed. If you're going to hunt on federal ground, make sure you got your permit. You know, get all your ducks in a row. If you're going to hunt on, do they still have, Jonathan, do they still have the Sweet 16?
Do they have what?
Do they still have the Sweet 16? Do you have to get that?
Yeah, but I think it's called something else. I think it's like a WMP or something. I think they kind of switched the name around.
Oh, they switched the name around a little bit. But anyhow, there's a lot of things that you've got to get done before duck season to make sure you don't get a ticket. Nobody wants a ticket because it counts points against you. So if you get too many points, you can't hunt. So you don't want to get any points. So, you know, make sure you take care of that.
Dennis asked, what is the most popular call for beginners?
Okay. Dennis, is it Dennis Humphrey?
Yeah.
Okay. Dennis Humphrey asked, what's the most popular call for beginners? Okay, so that's a double reed for sure, because it's easy to blow. You don't have to grunt in it. You don't have to blow hot air in it, but it helps to blow hot air in it. But we have, the one we sell the most of is a diamond wood double reed, and we sell thousands of them. They're good calls. They sound good. We don't hardly have any problems with them. But we also have a meat hanger and a DRT in a double reed. They're easy to blow. They're very user-friendly. So if you're just beginning and you want to get into a double reed, you might try one of those. The Diamond Woods are competitively priced at $59.95. The DRT is like $129.95, and the meat hanger is like $139.95.
Okay, Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend.
When I change my cork in my call, how come it does not sound the same as it did before? What am I doing wrong?
Okay, now that's a good question, but let me get a call here and kind of show you. There's a couple of things when you're tuning your call. If you're going to put the same reed back in, which you can, it's not a problem, but make sure you pull the reed out, straight out, without bending it, and then take the cork out. You know, clean your soundboard, and a lot of times people want to put a fresh cork in. So here's a fresh cork right here. Okay, so you're going to put your reed back in. You have to make sure it goes to the back of the cork slot. It has to go all the way back. Okay, and then when it's back there, put your thumb on it, and I'm going to try to show you here. Leave yourself enough room to get the cork in here. So I usually like to bite on the cork just a little bit to get it pliable. And I haven't turned loose of that yet. It's all the way to the back and it's centered. So we're going to put this cork in and try to push it back most of the way with your finger. Then, yep, wire's got me. Take a tool and pull the cork back. And the biggest problem of not getting it tuned right is not having the cork pulled back all the way. And once you've got it this far in, I mean, you can put some good pressure on it, but not when it's way out, because it gets kind of a mechanical advantage. If it's out there, it'll break the cork tab. But once the cork is almost all the way back, you can pull it pretty hard. And make sure, I'm going to cut this off. And, you know, make sure that you don't move anything as you're putting it in. So, now one other thing about that is, why does the call sound a little different? Especially on competition calls, the reed goes up and down so fast. It actually will work its way out over a period of a month or 2 months or 3 months. And the call will actually get harder because it's got a longer reed. Then when you take your reed out and you put it back in, it's the way it was originally, and it's going to be just slightly easier to blow. But, you know, if you get used to it, you won't have any problems.
Next question is Brent Cahoon. I have 2 boss calls, but I am needing one that runs a little stronger. What would be advice in making this happen? I live in Utah and unfortunately cannot run down to the shop. I would say he needs to send them both in to be able to make one stronger than those 2.
Okay. Yeah, Brent, if there was a way that you could send both of those in, our address is 123 Vernon Harvey Road, Beebe, Arkansas. And if you'd send those in as is, so we can blow on them and tell exactly how much pressure they're using, we can put you a slightly longer reed in, and it'll make it harder to blow. Just, you know, we'll just do it by a little bit, and we can make it so that it'll hold your pressure. A lot of big guys blow hard, and they need just a little longer reed. So if you do that, we'd be glad to take care of you and get you fixed up.
Okay. Next question. Luke Gorman. I am looking for a call to hunt timber with. Which one would you recommend? Okay,
Luke Gorman asked, he's looking for a call to hunt in the timber with. Which one would I suggest? I use the timber call, and, you know, they're single reed. I can blow the call loud enough in the timber to get his duck's attention at a pretty good distance. Now, if you can't blow quite that loud, I would go with a breaker, and you can still blow it loud enough without putting the proper amount of air into it and still get a good sound. My first choice would be a timber. and my second choice would be a breaker. But like I said, if you can't blow the timber loud enough, I'd go with the breaker because it'll also get down soft. Most of the guys in here are using the breaker, and it's one of our best selling calls. And it's good for getting a duck's attention, and it's good for landing the ducks, getting them to come on in. Any more questions yet, Jonathan?
Yep, Jim Stacks.
Jim Stacks. How you doing, Jim?
Our question, have you considered doing small batch or possibly a line of long barrel calls like the old jacks? If not, Echo may be Rick's custom calls batch. I mean, if not, an Echo may be RCC, Rick's custom calls batch line for collectors and those of us that would like way longer call fields in the hands. Thanks.
Okay, Jim Stack asked if we would consider doing a long barrel call like the old Jacksonville call, kind of even for a collector's piece. Here's the thing about that. We're going to do a collector's call next year. We're going to get back to it. We're going to do a couple of editions of 100. We got our boxes orders, and they're supposed to be in shortly, but we're going to put them in a little display box, especially for call collectors. Now, here's the thing about long barrel calls. Long barrel calls are a little bit monotone as far as going out and hunting and getting the sound that's really right for you. You can get them where they sound okay, but a short barrel call sounds just a little bit better. It's easier to get range on the call. Not to say that you can't get range on a long barrel call. It's just easier to do on a short barrel call. It sounds just a little bit better. So with that said, we might try to do something just for collectors only in a long barrel call. It's a good question. But we're also going to probably do collector's call with a shorter barrel also. All right, we got any more?
Ryan Barrett, he asked if you missed him.
Ryan Barrett asked if I miss him. I do, Ryan. Hey, by the way, while I got you on here, Ryan, I've got your barrels that you sent in, the wood blanks. I've got those all turned. I just have to get with David. We have to get them sent out.
All right. Jason Jester, what's the difference in pure meat and breaker calls?
Okay. Jacob Jester?
No, Jason Jester.
Jason Jester. Sorry about that. Okay, what's the difference between the pure meat and the XLT? Was that what it was?
Pure meat and the breaker.
Pure meat and the breaker. Okay, so let me start with the pure meat. The pure meat lays flatter on the soundboard, but comes down further. Okay, so when it lays flatter on the soundboard, that gives it the ability to do two things. You can get a little bit fancier on it with squeals, but it also gives another thing. It's a little more stick prone than, say, a breaker. The breaker, the reed is cocked up just a little bit more. You can still get it soft. It won't squeal and whine as much as XLT or pure meat. Pure meat and XLT are very, very similar. But it won't whine as much as pure meat. But if you're punching the call, it's easier to punch the breaker, and that's the reason for its name. It's easier to punch it and blow it hard, and then still also be able to blow it soft. It just doesn't squeal. The breaker won't squeal as much as a pure meat.
I don't have any other ones.
All right. We don't have any more at the moment. Let me see what else I've got here. So we got about 14 more days till duck season opens here in Arkansas. And a lot of things have got to be done in order to have a good season. You know, you get a chance, you need to go out and do some scouting. I talked to you about getting your boat ready. You need to get your decoys ready. You need to get your gun clean. You need to get all the things and make yourself a checklist. Get them all done so you don't have any problems when duck season comes in. There's so many things. It's hard to get them all done.
All right, I got a question from Larry England. I have an older Echo I purchased at Big Buck Classic many years ago. How can I find out its value? I still have the box for it as well.
Okay, it was Larry. Who was it?
Larry England.
Larry England. Okay, he's got a older Echo call that he purchased at the Big Buck Classic several years ago. Wants to find out how much the call is worth. Okay, a couple of things I can tell you right off. If it happens to say Jacksonville on the around the face of the call, it's worth more. If it says BB, it's still worth money, but it's not worth as much. Those are the two things on a wood call. And if it's an acrylic call, at one time we put stickers on acrylic calls, and then we, pardon the interruption on the phone, we put stickers on the acrylic calls at first, and we put them on the face at the same place, and those calls are worth a fair amount of money also. The best way to do it, though, is to take a picture of it and send it in to us. You can put it on Facebook, and Jonathan or myself can take a look at it and tell you approximately what it's worth. Anything else yet?
Robert Townsend asked.
Robert Townsend.
I think he's already asked a question.
All right.
Anyway, I cannot do a single cut feed. How do you do that? Rolling feed is not an issue.
Okay, Robert. Single cut, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't do a single cut that much. I do a double cut feed call. But the way you do a single cut is just a cut, 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 cut. But, you know, it really doesn't make any difference what type of feed call you do. A double cut is more like that. And the way you do a double cut is tugga, tugga, and ka on a single cut. I know it sounds a lot alike, but I'm going to say that feed call is not as important as just blowing the cadence at the right time and at the right volume. Now, the reason for a feed call is to kind of stay in touch with the ducks, not calling them, but just letting them know that you're down there. So keep that in mind. If you want to learn how to blow a single cut and get better at it, you can call in. We can work with you actually over the phone just a little bit. All right. Anything else yet?
Matt Teal, he said, "Where are you hunting at opening day, Jonathan? Are you ready to battle all the oozers?" Okay,
Matt Teal asking Jonathan where he's wanting to hunt opening day, and is he ready to battle all the guys?
I'll never say.
Jonathan said he'll never say. I can tell you where he's going to hunt, though. It's going to be real close to the White River. Of course, the White River is in Arkansas, is only about 175 miles long. Hate to give away too much information.
Aaron Gray Hunt just said, "Hey, Rick, good to see you."
Aaron Gray Hunt said, "It's good to see me." Thank you. Good to see you. Boom, 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 boom.
Right now.
Okay. Well, we've been on for about 20 minutes. I'm not one that can sit here and babble. I'm not very good at it. But as long as we got questions, we'll try to stay on for just a little while longer.
Matt Garrett.
Matt Garrett.
Does Rick do any custom hand turn calls anymore that someone could purchase?
Does Rick do any more hand turn calls anymore that someone could purchase? No, I don't. I don't really have time to do them. Try to keeping this place going and making sure everybody doesn't mess up. I got a bunch of clowns at work here, to be honest with you. No, actually, I've got a good crew. And almost everybody's been here for 8 or 10 years or 15 years. And nobody leaves. Everybody likes it. I like everybody. So, gosh, I forgot the question.
About, would you hand turn any?
Oh, would I hand turn?
For purchase?
I'm not going to say I would, because I'm afraid I get swamped on it, and I don't really want to get started back. I used to turn them, and I'm kind of tired of it, really. When I first started turning them, hand turning, I couldn't wait to get out there each night after I worked at my regular job. You know, I'd get out there and turn calls. I'd turn barrels for a little while, and I'd turn inserts for a little while. Then I'd cut some of the inserts out and then start putting calls together. And I really, really enjoyed it. But after, you know, doing that for, say, I did hand turns for about 22 years, you kind of get burnt out on it a little bit. The last one that I hand turned was a fat bottom call made out of African blackwood. And we gave it away at the, was it 40th anniversary? 40th anniversary. And that's the last one that I hand turned. But I probably would pass on any more. I had a guy ask me last week, he said, would you hand turn one for $1,000? And I passed on it. So I appreciate it, but I'm going to pass for right now.
All right. Darren Burfield.
Darren Barfield or Burfield?
Yeah, Burfield, I believe.
Okay, Burfield.
Best call for timber hunting.
Best call for timber hunting. Okay, we had that a little bit earlier. I use a timber call, and I use a wooden timber call. The reason I use a wooden timber call is because I think it has the truest tone. I've taken some acrylic calls out there in the timber, and they sound great in the shop. But when I get them out in the timber, they sound just a little bit, to me, just a little tinnier than a wooden timber call. Most people can't tell the difference. I don't know. I'm just old school. So I'd prefer a wooden timber call. Now, if I didn't use a timber, I would definitely use a breaker. And the breaker is a lot like a timber. They both have the same soundboard, but the breaker is just elongated. The exhaust is longer. So it makes them just a little bit deeper. But the timber and the breaker are both good calls. Breaker's just a little bit louder than the timber. I'd say maybe 20%.
All right, since you're on that subject, I have another question from John Enzer. What's the difference between the ODB versus the timber?
Okay, what's the difference between the ODB and the timber? What I'm going to tell you is the difference between an ODB and a breaker, and then I'll tell you the difference between the timber. Okay, so this is a breaker. The distance from here to here, from the end of the cork slot to the exhaust outlet, okay, is going to be the same exact within 5 thousandths on a breaker and ODB. A timber is going to be shorter by about a little over 100 thousandths. So the timber, it would be about right in here to there, okay? So this gives it just a little bit more volume, being longer, and it's opened up at the end, kind of a megaphone effect. So that's the difference in the call themselves. And as far as the way they blow, the difference between the ODB and the breaker is the ODB, the drilled hole that comes through the call this way is ODB is about 5 thousandths shorter than the breaker to give it just a little bit more hold. Anytime your hole is shorter, it's not letting as much air come through here. So it gives it a little bit more hold. And the timber is most of often about the same as the breaker as far as the amount of hold. Anyhow, I hope that answered your question.
Ryan Barrett, anything new in the works or any tweaks to the current lineup of calls?
Anything new in the works or any tweaks in the line of the calls? So the only thing we did this year was we kind of redesigned the ace in the hole. We do have a couple of new colors that I don't have out here. We've got a pearl. It's actually a pearl. And then it's white pearl. And then we've got one that's called lava. And it's, well, Jonathan's going to get them for me, I think. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this, but the pearl is really bright on this white pearl. And, you know, our regular pearl, we just call it pearl, but it's not actually pearl. It's just white, and it's a pearl color. But anyhow, that's the difference in those. And then this one is called lava, and we're trying to think of another name for it. Matt wanted to call it Black Widow or something like that, because it's got kind of spider webs going down it. It's pretty neat. But we do have those ready and available if anybody is interested in those two colors.
All right. Preston Ellis, he's got two different questions. His first one, Rick was the best public hunting in the 90s.
All right. Well, this is from Preston Ellis. How you doing, Preston? Make sure you practice on your competition call before the next contest. Was the timber hunting the best in the 90s? I would say yes. Anytime from the 90s before. So in the 80s it was good, in the 70s it was good, 60s it was good. And most people don't go back any further than that. So what happened in the 90s, in the late 90s, first off, let me say this. We hunted hurricane management area almost every day in the 90s, in the mid 90s. And there would be 5 or 6 of us, and we'd go to the same spot every day. And if we hunted past 8 o'clock to kill 5 limits, you know, the limit was 3 apiece. But if we hunted past 8 o'clock to kill a limit of ducks, of mallards, we considered it a bad day. Now, back then, the ducks were using the area. You didn't have as many hunters. You didn't have mojos. A lot less pressure on the ducks. So,
A lot less rest areas.
yeah, a lot less rest areas. That's Jonathan just brought that up, and that's one of the things that really hurt us, because and I'm not taking anything away from the rest areas, because they keep our populations up. It just makes it harder to kill them in the timber day after day after day. Now then, if you go to the timber, you know, you might get 1 or 2 good days, and then the next day you won't even see a duck. You have to look for another spot, and you might get them 1 or 2 days. But it's not as good as it was. Like I say, the rest areas, pardon the phone. Okay. Jonathan's going to get this out of here so it don't ring on us. And I'm going to get a drink of water while he's doing that. So back in the 90s, they didn't have very many rest areas. Bald Knob Refuge, if I'm not mistaken, it came in about 96 or 97. But none of the rest areas that you have, like Dixie Plantation, and this is, I'm speaking in Arkansas, you just didn't have the rest areas. Now then, you've got those, and you've got individual people that own big amounts of land. You know, they may own 20, 30, 40,000 acres, and they may decide they want a rest area on it, and they don't hunt the ducks. But what that does, it makes their duck hunting a little better close to them, but it's taking ducks out of our flyway. So if you look at it like in the 90s, this is a piece of pie. So, you know, you got the rest area here and a rest area here, and privately owned rest area here and here. You know, you've got, let's say, 40% of your pie gone. And it really hurts if you're going out there and wanting to get through quick. And it's nothing wrong with getting through quick. There's nothing wrong with staying and hunting until 10:30 or 11 or 11:30. You know, you're out there to have a good time. But it was a lot easier back in the 90s to go in there and get your ducks and get out. And that's another thing that made it better, because you were out of there by 8 o'clock and the ducks had it, you know, for the rest of the day, and then they start piling up. More ducks have followed more ducks in, And the next day when you went back, you had a fresh batch of ducks. So no, it's not nearly as good as it was. I'm glad I was able to hunt back then, but I don't know that it'll ever be quite the same. But it's still nice. You know, the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission does a great job giving our hunters a place to duck hunt. And we're very, very fortunate to have some of the best green timber hunting in the whole United States.
All right, Preston's other question.
All right, Preston's other question. Sorry about that.
He said, and who wants that smoking ping pong?
And who wants what?
The smoking ping pong.
Oh. So Jonathan and I battle every day from 11 o'clock till about 11:30. And as a matter of fact, I still got a little bit of sweat on my shirt. But we play, usually we play 3 sets. And we play to 11 per game, and 2 out of 3 is a set. So we play 2, 4, 6 to 9 games of ping pong every day. And unfortunately, because of my age, you know, that's another thing. It just aggravates me. He could go down to the nursing home and get anybody and beat them. But he's been winning most of the time. I'm going to say he probably wins 80% of the time, 75% of the time. But I still get exercise and it keeps me in good health.
All right. Tyler Brosher says, I have a question, but he didn't tell me what it is.
Tyler Brosher has a question, but he won't ask it.
And then Brad Sample says, haven't had the chance to meet you yet, Rick, but I've only heard good things. Keep it up.
Brad Sample said he hasn't had a chance to meet me, but he has heard good things. So keep it up. So somebody's been lying to him. No, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Tyler's question is, do you miss me around the shop?
Oh, do I miss Tyler around the shop? Like I miss a hole in the head. No. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about Tyler yesterday. You know, things hadn't been quite the same without Tyler around here, because he's always cutting up and always making jokes and always trying to get Jonathan, or Jonathan's always trying to get him, trying to pull something on him. But yeah, Tyler, we love you and we miss you. I wish you were back here. Come back and hunt with us this year for sure.
Hey, I seen him because I always listen to music in here, you know, and I listen to Eric Clapton and that, what's the name of that song? Oh, goodness. Why am I?
Eric Clapton, Freebird?
No. That's not Eric Clapton.
Oh, it's not. That's right. That shows you how much I know.
Not Layla. I can't remember, but anyway, Tyler used to get tired of hearing it, so I sent it to him the other day. He said, "Man, I miss that place."
So Jonathan sent Tyler his favorite song, and
Alberta, that's it.
Alberta. Alberta.
Anyway, Tyler Brosher said he will be here for duck season.
All right, sounds good.
Ben said, "Is Ben the funniest guy in the shop?" Question.
Ben says, "Has Ben the funniest guy in the shop?" He might be. We've got several in here that are clowns, I can tell you that.
That's all the questions I got right now.
All right, we've been on for a little over 30 minutes now, so we're going to close it down. If this thing works good and everything works out, we may try to do some more live ones down the road. It's you know, we got duck seasons. We're not going to tell you exactly where we hunt. We might tell you a direction that ducks are, but we got to be real careful. We make people mad, and these guys get really mad if I tell anybody where they hunted. So I got to be real careful on that. But we could talk more about duck season and see how it goes. But anyhow, I want to say good luck to everybody this duck season, because, you know, 14 or 15 days from now, from tomorrow, it'd be exactly 2 weeks. It opens up here in Arkansas, and I think everybody's looking forward to it. I know I am. I'm getting sick of this place. But anyhow, hope you enjoyed this week's Duck Chatter, and we'll do it again next week, one way or another. We'll see you then. Thank you.